I was like a really good player.
Just the appreciation of basketball at all levels.
Yeah, I'm a player. I feel like I just gotta get on the court. You know, I feel like if I get the opportunity to get on the court, that's where the name comes from. Everyday guys and the everyday conversations we have. Okay, welcome to episode 5 of the Everyday Guys. Today we have a very special guest in the building, Mr. Ignas Brazdeikis. We've known Iggy ever since the high school days. Ray's been training him for some years now, and Iggy, you've accomplished quite a lot in basketball, from high school all the way to the pros. You know, played in the NBA, going into your 3rd Euroleague season. You know, you've accomplished a lot, and thanks for coming on to the pod, man.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, of course. So Iggy just signed a deal to go back to Zalgiris in his 3rd Euroleague season, like I said. So, you know, talk to us a little bit about what it's like going back home to your country, Lithuania, and just getting back to the team that you started the EuroLeague year with.
Yeah, I'm really excited. You know, first of all, just being grateful for this opportunity to come back and to play at home, you know, makes a big difference for me because, you know, playing overseas isn't easy for anybody.
Yep.
But having those family ties over there and just, you know, competing in front of the fans is going to be great, and just really excited for it.
What do you think was like the biggest factor that led you to that decision?
I mean, you know, this past year with Olympiacos, which is a great organization, a great team, I, you know, didn't get much opportunity in terms of playing. So I just felt like at this point in my career, I needed to be at a place where, you know, I have that opportunity to play and compete for minutes.
Yeah.
And Zalgiris was that place for me. They're a great team, great organization, great facility as well. So I feel like I could expand my game and get better, and on top of that, be able to showcase my skills as well.
Plus, those people freaking love you, man.
Yeah. I was looking at their Instagram stuff that they were posting, man. The Lithuanians love you.
Yeah.
So was there any other teams that you were maybe considering or would have liked to, you know, have seen interest from or did get interest from, or was it always kind of you had your mind set on Zalgiris?
Yeah, for the most part, I let, you know, my agents kind of handle that part, and I don't want to really think about it or put my mind into it too much. But, you know, we had that discussion that the main point right now for me is to play at a place where, you know, I'll have that opportunity. I did get interest from other teams as well, but this one just made the most sense. And the biggest thing is I want to be there. I want to play there. And, you know, I want to hopefully help this team win games. That's the main thing.
Yep. So just go back a little bit. I know you mentioned that you came from Olympiacos, a great organization. Last year, you know, you signed a very big deal to play with them, and it seemed like a very promising opportunity. Just kind of talk us through your experience, and, you know, obviously things didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Things happen for a reason, I believe. But why do you personally think in your mind it didn't work out quite like you wanted it to?
Yeah, I mean, that whole situation was really interesting because I was planning to be back with Zalgiris. Everything was set. And then I kind of got a phone call from them, and they were interested in acquiring me for that year. So, you know, I definitely did expect to, you know, get a little bit more of opportunity to play. But this is a veteran team. They've been to the Final Four multiple times. They've had this core group of guys for multiple years. And, you know, I think the coaches just went with the guys that they trust. So I don't think it has anything to do necessarily with my ability to play and how I can impact the game. I think that they just went with guys that they were more comfortable with. And, you know, I just learned a lot, though, being there, even just, you know, being in that environment and taking in how the vets take care of their bodies, how they train, how they, you know, prepare for games. So I think I learned a lot being there, and I'm grateful for those experiences. But at the same time, it's tough not playing for me because I am a competitor and I do want to play.
So for the Olympiacos situation, you, in your mind, the lack of playing time was definitely a situational thing, correct? Because what I'm getting at, and what me and Ray were talking about earlier, is I think athletes, a lot of times when you're in a situation that isn't ideal, a lot of times athletes, and I'm not saying this is the case for you, but I'm just saying a lot of times athletes like to blame external things when sometimes they were at fault. I did it at ND all the time. And so I'm saying for you, do you like really feel that the situation of the roster makeup and just kind of like you said, the trust that the coaches had in the other players was the main factor, or do you think you could have done more yourself to earn the trust of the coaching staff?
I'm sure that there's definitely different perspectives on the situation, but I know what I'm capable of on the basketball court. So in my mind, a lot of it was situational. In the beginning of the year, I was dealing with some knee injuries, which I think affected how I was able to play. And at that point in the season, I was getting more opportunity to play. But I started to get in rhythm and play better and feel the system out. But when you get that late into the season and mid-season, all the team wants to do is win. So, they're going to go with the guys that they feel like can do that for them. So, whether that's, them feeling like, other guys can do the job better than me, or, them being there longer than me. I think regardless of the point, I think that I know what I'm capable of doing, and, I'm excited to be able to showcase that.
I mean, this is the question for you both. It could be both of you, but I mean, you guys play at a high level, and as a player, what you're capable of. Right. But I think you and I talked about it a few years ago too, like kind of like knowing what you're good at, and then kind of sticking with that and doing what you're good at versus, okay, I'm just kind of doing what the coach is telling me to do. Right. I feel like there's almost a fine line between just doing what you're told versus I'm still gonna do what I do. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like obviously every situation is different. But like, how do you guys deal with stuff like that? Right? Like, I'm just we talk about other players that kind of are doing what they're only told to do, and their career kind of doesn't pan out. Right. So I don't know how you guys deal with something.
Go personal often.
I think
good question though.
Yeah, good question. I think it's a balance. It really depends on, I think, the coach's philosophy, because you see some coaches where they truly just believe in their players and their skill set, and they're gonna ride or die with that.
Right.
Whereas other coaches believe in their system and they ride or die with their system. So I think it depends on the situation. I think the most important thing though is just to stay true to yourself, and you've gotten to your level or wherever you're playing at for a reason. And the main thing is just to continue to believe in yourself and not, play these mind games with yourself. Oh, am I doing this wrong or this right? You just play as hard as you can, and of course listen to the coaches, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I think one of the big things of, exactly to your question of how you deal with that, a big part is not letting the confidence sway, where like you said, if you think you're capable of one thing, but the coach is asking another thing from you, to not lose the confidence in the things that you feel most comfortable doing, and I think over time, if you're able to showcase that, whether it be in practice and then start having a bigger role in game and doing it in game, then coach sees that your true style of play can actually benefit winning. Like he said, everybody wants to win at the end of the day. So you need to somehow find a way to demonstrate that the way you play versus the way they want you to play actually may help the team more. And then the second thing is, especially in the pros, and I'm sure you can relate to it, is your agent needs to do a great job of finding you a team where the coach really understands the kind of player he's getting. If your agent markets you poorly, or there's a miscommunication with what you expect to bring to the table versus what they want you to bring to the table, that's when a lot of those issues come, where you get there and all of a sudden, oh, we don't want you to be in the post. You're really good. Like, what I mean? Those things. So if you have good conversations, because like you said, when you're pro, you usually have a plethora of options to choose from year to year. Having these conversations with coaches and being very, very descriptive and detailed with what they want you to do is honestly the best way to deal with it. So you don't even have to worry about having any miscommunication with what's expected of you as a player.
It's funny how, like, when you look at other sports compared to basketball, I do feel like coaching in basketball means a lot more than some of these other sports. Obviously I haven't coached other sports. Right. But I do feel like, probably other than the NBA, where maybe they have a little bit of a less of a say.
Yeah, maybe more like just managing the personalities.
Even in the NBA, like they probably have less of a say, but it's like high school level, NCAA level, like even Euroleague. If the coach knows who you are as a player, and as a coach, am I using those skill set, or am I just telling him, okay, this is what I want you to do and stick with it? You know what I mean? And it's like it does. I could see a scenario where it does really fuck with your mind as a player.
It's tough, and you see a lot of players fall through the cracks because of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You get guys who just have a role that they're not comfortable with, and then they don't perform, and then that causes them to shift to another team where they have a like. It can be a downward spiral to both the confidence and then the on-court performance as a player, and it's tough. That's why a lot of careers don't pan out.
It's a lot of responsibility, man.
Yeah, from the coach's standpoint and the player's standpoint.
Yeah, I think once you reach to higher points in your career, and the more it just continues to get more competitive. So it's all the little things add up, and at the end of the day, if you're not prepared to make those adjustments and you're not willing to get better, I feel like a lot of guys start to kind of settle after their college career, and they're not pushing themselves the way they were before to get to that level. So I think that has a big part in it too.
True. And like Ray touched earlier, you were fortunate enough to spend a couple years in the NBA, and then you made the decision to ultimately shift to Europe, where the team you're going back to now was your very first experience in Europe. What in your mind was the biggest, difference? It could be on the court, it could be off the court, but your experience in the NBA shifting to your European experience.
Oh man, it's night and day. It's completely different. In terms of on court, like just something as simple as the defensive 3-second rule. Where in the NBA you're not allowed to be in the paint for 3 seconds. That makes a big difference, because in Europe you are, and they're able to load up the paint completely. I think 40-minute games as well. It's shorter games. It's just more competitive.
Less room for error, for sure.
Less room for error. Everybody's more, sharp, intense, focused. And I think that these games, and in the Euroleague, there's, I believe, 34 games in the season. So every game matters. And within those games, damn near every possession matters. So the pressure is higher. But there's no doubt in my mind that the NBA's talent level is the best in the world. Yeah. But even just living overseas versus living in America is completely different too. Lifestyle, day-to-day encounters, everything's just a little bit different. So, if you do make that move to Europe, you got to be prepared to adjust and adapt to where you're living at.
I think the one thing you said, I agree with completely. So a lot of times, and it's usually guys who really love European basketball, they make the claims that a couple of these really good European teams could compete in the NBA. My whole thing is, and you touched on it, I think that the style of the NBA, right? The biggest argument between the two is that Europeans are more structured, more team play, discipline.
True.
But in my mind, like you said, the NBA talent is greater to where you need to let guys who have that level of talent play free.
Facts.
And when the talent level drops, per se, then a more disciplined team style of play comes into, and that doesn't mean that European players are better because they play more of a team style. I just think it's what their skill set requires them to do.
Right.
Like I don't know if you agree, but I don't see there being a valid argument for the talent in Europe being equivalent to or comparable to the NBA.
No, I don't think the talent level compares. Like you can talk about, from like a basketball connoisseur's perspective, which is like a better basketball like
product
watch, right? Like is it more structure? Is it more plays, sets, and whatever? Yeah, you can argue about that. Like which one's more kind of pleasing to watch?
Yeah.
Some people like watching college basketball over NBA, for example.
Yeah.
But if you compare the talent level versus like Euroleague versus NBA and NBA versus college basketball, it's not even close.
We're seeing it right now with the Olympics. The U.S. just played Serbia. Your team, no offense to Serbia at all. That is a great team. That is a great basketball team. But the dominance of the U.S., the depth, the amount of skill and talent, height, athleticism is just...
We were just talking, Jason Tatum didn't get on the floor. Yeah. We thought he was hurt.
He's a world champion. NBA champion.
He actually got a DMP and a healthy DMP.
Yeah. Did you know about the bet him and I made?
No, what was it?
No?
What was it?
So if Serbia wins the Olympics, I have to shave my head.
Yeah.
If they don't, he has to shave it.
Okay, well, that's a great bet for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're going to win that.
How funny would Ray look?
I know, but you take advantage of emotional people.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man. I mean, like I said, I'm confident that I think, listen, they beat them in the exhibition. They beat them in the group stage now. It's hard beating the same team 3 times. I don't know.
Never know. What are you guys' final 4 for the Olympics? If you guys had to put, not in order because you never know with...
The thing is, the seeding...
Give me your best 4, just the best 4, you think.
Right now, for the first couple of games, I think that USA looks the best, of course. Serbia's second, Canada's third.
Of course.
Canada's third, and my 4th pick... like I said, I don't know how the brackets will draw out, but I like Australia, man.
Australia's solid. It's not bad.
Yeah, I like Germany.
You like Germany?
Yeah, Germany. I like Germany.
You guys are forgetting about France.
I don't know, man. We were talking earlier on a previous episode. I don't know if France is...
Wembanyama and Gobert at the 4-5.
Yeah, but I just feel like that their strengths of the defense, with them being so tall and lanky, also hurts them on the offensive end. Like, things get stagnant, and then susceptible to foul trouble, and everything changes quickly. So you have France? What are your top 4?
France is going to be in the top 4. I think, in my opinion, my top 4 is probably U.S., France, Germany, and Canada.
True. So, just going back to, you talking about the difference between the NBA and Europe, just give me the kind of your headspace where you were with the Orlando Magic. You started getting a lot more minutes near the end of the season, where I think you performed well in a couple of games and showcased that, you're capable of playing in the NBA. Ultimately decided to go to Europe. What kind of factored into that decision? Where was your head at? Were you going to Europe with the NBA out of your mind, or were you going to Europe, this is just a quick pit stop and I'm trying to get back to the NBA? Like, where was your head at with the decision to actually, leave and go to Europe?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because that summer, was the first summer I played for the national team of Lithuania.
Okay.
And they had a FIBA, and that summer, Orlando was hosting workouts for guys during the summertime. And, when I made that decision to go play in the FIBA window break, not FIBA window break, but FIBA, qualifying tournament or whatever, it kind of pushed me away from the NBA a little bit, and I performed well during that time. And then, offers from Euroleague teams came in, and
from your Lithuanian performance,
from the Lithuanian national team performance, and that's when kind of it sparked up with Euroleague. And at that point, I was like, man, like, I think it just makes sense, to play. I want to play because with the NBA, it's very inconsistent for me.
Yeah,
there'd be a stretch of games where I'd play quite a bit, then a stretch of games where I don't see the floor at all, and I kind of wanted to be in a position where I was a, key player on a team and somebody that plays, and that's what I wanted at that point in my career. So for me, that's kind of what swayed that decision to go to Europe.
I do remember the conversation we had before you made that decision. It was like, it just came down to, like, bro, I just want to play.
Yeah.
Play it.
I just want to play.
Do it.
Right? Yeah. But it's like, I think you also struggled a little bit. I mean, everyone does, but it's like you're a highly confident individual, and you can play in the NBA at the highest level, versus like, okay, what am I actually getting?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then like actually leaving that, dream or goal, whatever it is, and to leave that and get what you want, right? But a lot of guys really struggle with it, and they still stay in the G League and stay, play 8-9 years in there just in hopes, right?
Yeah.
But I do think there's no right or wrong way of being successful and getting what you want at the end of the day. You can always go back if you have a successful career in Europe.
I mean, European basketball is extremely tough.
Yeah.
Like, if you think, if you're one of those guys that are, thinking about making that move over, and this, it is extremely tough to play over there.
Extremely
Physical.
Yep.
It's tactical.
Yep.
You got to be able to do a lot
Away
of
from
things
family,
down
and
there, away
even
from family.
yeah, and even off the court stuff translates to on the court stuff.
Yeah,
You're alone more. It's definitely not easy. Like,
no, it's not. And basketball is highly competitive, especially, a league like the Euroleague, or then you go into Euro Cup or Champions League. Like, those leagues, those are high level basketball players there, and you could learn a lot being there as well. And the crowds are great, and the environment is great. So, I think that it is a great place to play, and I'm really happy being there right now.
You've been on both ends of the spectrum with the NBA and EuroLeague, but obviously you can speak on this, which adds into how tough it is playing in Europe. I feel like in the NBA, you drop a game or two, 3 or 4, even if you're not a good team, everyone just goes about their business, and you continue to in Europe, because there's such a smaller room for margin. Once you start losing games, the energy is just so tense.
Yeah.
Everyone is an asshole to one another, just because, like, it's just after one loss.
Yeah.
You come in the gym, you can feel the difference.
Right.
Where I feel like that's not the case in the NBA, I'm sure.
No, it's not even close. I mean, a lot goes into that too. And it's like, coaches have pressure too. You see it all the time in Europe. Coaches get changed like this.
Yeah, it's they're the first ones to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, after you lose a few games that maybe you shouldn't have, it's not like, okay, we'll get it back. It's like, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Now we got to figure something out.
Yeah.
So the pressure is
immense.
Much higher.
Yeah, I agree. And just going back to what you were saying about the NBA, how it was wildly inconsistent for you. Some games you would play, some games you wouldn't even get on the floor. Throughout your career prior to the NBA, you were always a main guy, for a lot of your teams. You were stud, played well, were a crucial part of the rotation. For you, a lot of players deal with it throughout their career. You dealt with it at the highest level. How did you mentally keep yourself locked in to where you were a guy who played a lot and now all of a sudden weren't playing as much? What did you do as a player, and what advice do you have for people who go through that, who go from this kind of role to, a lesser role?
That's a really tough question, because I think, it depends on the individual, and it depends on how badly you want it. So I feel like if you're a person that, wants to be that guy regardless of anything, you'll be able to push through that. But just continue to work, like, especially if you're in a position where you're not playing as much, you should be 100% outworking the guys that are playing in front of you. You should be looking to get better, and it's even little things like in practice, try to be the best player on the court. If you feel like that's what you are, go and dominate practice. Oh, there's, after practice shooting, go and win that. Every little thing adds up. And for me, that's kind of what helped me this past year, is just, going into practice and playing well and doing what I need to do. It gave me confidence, because those are my opportunities to play, and just taking advantage of every little opportunity, and then just outwork everybody.
Where did, I've known you for a long time, and I'd say you are a confident individual, and you like to display that confidence. You like people to know.
Such a dick in high school.
You like,
we would play against them. He would text me on that day and be like, "Oh fuck, today I'm just playing one half."
because you guys
We'll be down by 40 a half. Yeah. But today's an easy one.
Yeah.
And he would. I remember incident. I mean, where like I'm sitting on the bench, right?
Yeah.
And then he's on offense in the right corner.
Wait, who are you coaching? The Kings.
With Z.
Oh, okay. This is last year of the OSBAs.
Right.
Yeah.
And he would like be in the corner on offense, but he would be like the closest to us, right? And he would, like, one of our guys is playing defense on him.
Yeah.
This guy, you know him too, actually, with the Northeastern.
Okay.
Yeah. This guy would just, like, on purpose just pull his pants, like, shorts down, all the way down. And my player would just go,
No, dude. That's tactical warfare, man.
Just pull his pants up and then keep playing. I'm like, he was such a, I mean, like, I guess that's my question is, yeah, you're highly confident individual. How did that come about?
Yeah.
Do you think that was kind of your upbringing, how you grew up, family? What do you think kind of tributes to?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it comes from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I think upbringing, and just kind of, I took a lot of example from my dad.
Yeah.
He was always there, and he kind of, just seeing how he, goes about his days and his interactions. And I think the main thing is, like, if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Sometimes I might be a little bit extra with some things, but that's just me having fun.
Right.
But yeah, if you don't believe in yourself, then why would anybody else, So I take that to heart, and I feel like, if you're able to believe in yourself, and, you can't do anything without God, in my opinion. So I feel like I get my strength from that a lot of times. And yeah,
that is so easier said than done, though.
100%.
True.
Because, like, yeah, I tell kids all the time, you got to believe in yourself. Like, who else is going to believe? But then they really have a hard time believing in themselves.
Yeah.
So,
but then you look at it. Why are you working? Are you not working?
Yeah, are you putting in the work?
Are you putting in the work? Or are you just thinking about it? If you're putting in the work and you're really planning out your days and doing what you need to do and putting the right things in your body, you're thinking the right way mentally, it all adds up. And if you're doing all those things, then everything else will come.
So your large amount of confidence tends to rub people the wrong way sometimes. You saw it in college. You kind of definitely started getting a little bit of a villain when you were in Michigan. Do you really enjoy that? Do you you're like, I'm just being myself, what comes with it, or like, does that kind of make you happy to kind of piss people off in a way?
Motivate you in a way.
Yeah. A little bit of both. I think a lot of it is just having fun. I enjoy doing those things. And yeah, in college, I definitely had that mindset of like, this is my first time kind of going to the States and like playing. So I was like, main thing is just be confident and just don't
make yourself be known.
Yeah, just make myself be known, like, regardless, because you don't know if you're going to get this opportunity again. So I was just thinking, I'm going to make the most out of this and then just see where it goes. And it kind of just took off, which I was happy about.
I vividly remember I'm on Instagram. This was like, you were a freshman when I was a junior, maybe? I'm 2 years older, right?
Yeah.
And I'm on my phone, and this guy posts a picture on Instagram. And he got his fucking last name tattooed across his chest. And I'm like, this is when I knew that confidence would not be an issue with this guy. Yeah. Oh, man, that's good stuff. So Michigan is, I feel like, when you really kind of set yourself up for the career you've had so far. I mean, I think, obviously, you were highly recruited coming out of high school. You had some all high major options, but then when you went to Michigan and played the way you did and garnered the accolades you did, that really set you up for being drafted in the NBA, playing in the NBA, Lithuania national team invite, Euroleague. So like, when you decided to go to Michigan, were you surprised with how well everything turned out, how quickly everything turned out well, or was it like, I knew I could do this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of came in with like no real expectations, like putting a lot of pressure on myself, but a lot of this happened because of Coach Beeline. He believed in me and what I can do, and he kind of allowed me to grow as a player and let myself be myself on the court, which, kind of made a world of difference because, I feel like if you get a coach that doesn't necessarily believe in you at that level, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I got a lot of that credit goes to him and his belief in me. And then just the whole system, like at Michigan, is great. You're going to get so much better over there. Facilities are top notch. You have like 20 plus, managers there waiting to rebound for you. You have world-class weight room. The weight room coach, John Sanderson, was phenomenal as well, and he got my body right. So everything just kind of worked together for me to have that successful year.
Did you ever have a desire to come back again, or was it always, just speaking with people around you, the kind of season you had, it made sense to go to the NBA?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a tough decision because I loved Michigan. And I think what the tipping point was Beeline leaving to go coach for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right.
And once he kind of made that move, I didn't know who was gonna step in his place, and I kind of figured, from what my agents were saying and everything, I had a good chance of getting drafted, and I thought, take that risk and make that jump, and having that belief in myself, I thought it would work out. So that was kind of the mentality when leaving.
If you could go back, would you do the same? Would you make the same decision?
Is it back then or now?
What?
2024.
2024.
Because now they're paying 800.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
800.
right.
It was set from Yale University.
Then you wouldn't even think about it. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The landscape changed.
But yeah, back then.
Back then, if you were no money, no NIL, you're still relatively broke.
No, no, I don't think I would, just because I'm happy with where I'm at right now. And I'm happy with how the career went. Obviously, like, the NBA part didn't work out yet.
Yeah.
So, I think if I just continue to learn and grow and do what I need to do, then, things will fall into place. But no, I think I'm happy with where I'm at. And now I'm playing, for Zalgiris, which I'm really, really excited for. So no, I wouldn't change.
Yeah, because most people there, I mean, when you were at Notre Dame, when you were in Michigan, I'm sure the goal was to, when you first got there, I'm sure the goal was to make it to the highest level, NBA. And I do think a lot of players struggle with that idea of not doing well in the NBA at the highest level. But then we talk about it all the time. Like, definition of success is different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And you're still playing at a high level, and the highest level in Europe, making a bunch of money. To me, like, that's, how can you be less, more successful?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So you don't ever, the fact that the NBA didn't pan out and now you're playing Euroleague, you don't let that affect you mentally to where, like, you're upset with how things played out?
No, I try not to. I mean, at first, when maybe, I first left, it was harder for me, and that adjustment, like, to Europe is completely different. That's why at times I did struggle. Now I feel like I'm more well-equipped and prepared for, I know what to expect going into it. But no, I feel like, if you dwell on the past and decisions you made in the past,
like
that's
your
just
future and present.
It's going to fuck with your head. So
Yeah.
there's nothing positive to come out of it. I think it's important to learn from the decisions you make and whatever happens, but to dwell on it and to really just, not let it go.
What are some of the major things from your first year with Zalgiris that you've learned that you're going to put forth towards having a better season with them this time around?
I think just, being ready to compete at 100%, every practice and every game. That's something I wasn't used to. Being in the NBA. You could kind of, like, take a percentage off of what you're bringing into practice, what you're bringing into games at times. I've kind of learned now that, like, you got to be at 100% regardless of, how you feel, regardless of what the situation is. And I'm grateful to, kind of learn that. And, that's kind of the main thing, just being ready. And of course, now I've played against, the top players and top teams in Europe. So I know, what to expect from that level as well.
Speaking of that, like, the leagues that I've been playing in, generally speaking, most teams run a similar system, similar actions, similar sets. You kind of, you know what the other teams are going to do. In Euroleague especially, is it similar to that, where most of the actions are very the same, or are they unique to each team? Does each team kind of have their own identity, or do you kind of really know what's going on? It's just a matter of, how well you can stop it.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think each team does have their own identity, and they bring different strengths and weaknesses. I think a big thing in Europe is having a strong front court.
Yeah.
You have, like, 7-footers and big bodies in there that makes the defense a lot tougher and brings a lot of options offensively. But yeah, I think it's unique. Like, if I compare my first year in Zalgiris to my second year at Olympiacos, like, those are two completely different systems and different looks. And I'm just happy I was able to learn from both.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are able to, like, obviously more physical, clog the paint a little bit more. Yeah. Because that's where big men in Euroleague is a lot more needed in a way, right? Because they're more valuable in a way, because a guy like what's his name at Madrid,
Eddie Tavares.
Yeah, Tavares, a guy like that, like may not work in the NBA, but then maybe in Europe he's got a huge role.
Yeah,
because the rules are different and whatnot. So my follow-up question is, when Luka said it's harder to score in Europe than NBA, what do you think of that?
That's a great question. I mean, I haven't been in a playoff environment in NBA, but from what I've seen, I think that's a true statement. Right. It is tougher, just because I think the 3-point line is a little bit closer, which, you would think is going to make it easier to score, but it kind of compacts the paint a lot more. And guys are really giving their 100% on defense every time. And then there's always a big man in the paint waiting for you. So it's very rare that you get like a clean layup or a clean look at the rim.
Yeah.
Whereas in the NBA, you see it all the time. You see like dunks or, backdoor cut leading to, a dunk, whatever. Yeah. So I think that's a true statement. What about you?
I don't know. It is a good question. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I think what you said sums it up pretty well.
Yeah.
What the one thing I had to ask was because the leagues that I've played in didn't necessarily have powerhouses that have played 2 leagues, where you play with Olympiacos and you play with Zalgiris, who LKL Euroleague, and I don't know what the name of the Greek league is.
Greek league.
Whatever. Greek league, Euroleague. How do you guys as a team who are typically, very, very strong in your domestic leagues and then competing every game in the Euroleague, how do you stay mentally engaged and locked in to where you don't play down to the level of, some of the competition you see in the domestic league, whereas, the Euroleague?
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that are extremely tough to do. Yeah. Because these domestic league teams, when they play like a powerhouse name, they're giving it their 100%. Whereas, and
every player wants to get their contract against.
Exactly. That's where they make their money. And the guys that play on these bigger teams, it depends on your mentality, but it is tough to be motivated the same way as a EuroLeague game where it's a packed crowd. It matters. It's, televised on, a more European scale.
Yeah.
Whereas these local league games, it's more like, we got to go and get this win because we know we have to. Yeah. So depends on the mentality. That's something I'm working on as well. Kind of just, keeping that 100% regardless. But it is very tough to do.
Yeah, I can see it because a lot of times, these powerhouse teams that do end up losing, usually they come out flat. Or with the travel, your EuroLeague travel is crazy, and then you have to play a domestic game. I know it definitely seems like it's tough, especially from a mental standpoint.
It adds up, man.
So
seasons are long.
Yeah. Oh man, 10 months, sometimes longer. Yeah. How many games did you play last year?
I couldn't tell you. I wasn't really playing towards the end of the year.
But I mean, just like, sorry, you're the team. Yeah.
80 plus, I would say.
Yeah, you see, that's insane.
Yeah.
The only place I've heard those kinds of numbers is Japan. In Japan, they play 60, 70 plus. Last year I played, I think it was low 30s.
Yeah.
That was it. Because you play 2 leagues, cups, playoffs, like crazy.
A lot of basketball. A lot of practices too.
Speaking of that, a lot of basketball. Top 3 atmospheres in EuroLeague.
In EuroLeague?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I mean, if you have a top 3, you've played in some crazy college environments. Where do you what are the top 3?
Well, I think if Europe beats college atmospheres, I don't remember it, but college atmospheres were phenomenal as well. But if we're doing Europe, gotta go Partizan, of course. They're nuts over there.
Okay.
Gotta go, for me, Zalgiris.
Number 2.
Environment is phenomenal. Yeah, love it.
I watched a little bit of your games the first year you were there. It did seem pretty crazy.
It gets rowdy in there. Yeah. And then number 3, in terms of just the atmosphere and environment, especially playing on Olympiacos, those Panathinaikos games would be
really
absolutely nuts. But on both ends though,
you're talking about the atmosphere when those teams are playing.
Yes, those are some of the craziest games I've ever been a part of.
Really?
It's nuts.
And I mean, I'm sure it's the same like it was in college, but I'm sure the fans are out there like an hour before the game, right?
Oh, yeah, they're ready. They're talking smack.
Yeah, they talk some
hour
shit
before the game. Oh,
Yeah.
going crazy. So
Yeah, that's what I like about EuroLeague though. Like they have like an actual fan base.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, because
There's some
in
passion.
the-
There's some
in-
passionate NBA fans, but why do you think?
in the NBA though, like if you ask like a teenager, right, who watches the NBA religiously, they don't really have teams anymore. They just follow players.
Yeah.
They just follow. Oh, I'm a LeBron James fan, so
Yeah,
if he goes to the Lakers, I'm a Lakers fan. If he goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm a Cavs fan. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just think NBA has become such it's almost like a global nationwide sport that it's not so regional anymore.
yeah,
Right. I still think like baseball, for example, is like that.
Mhm.
They kind of follow their teams.
yeah. They do. Yeah,
But I think the NBA is a bit different. I don't know. Like EuroLeague, obviously they have their fan base and they ride and die.
yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to. I think one big thing also is the accessibility to the games. I think a lot of
Like
times,
going to the game.
yeah, I think these European fans have the whole ticketing strategy behind it favors the common fan in
Mhm.
Europe more than it does in the NBA, where like, you know, if you want to get to certain games, you pay a ton of money, and it's like it's a little bit tougher to be like an avid fan, a season ticket holder. You know what I mean?
Right.
It requires a lot of money from people.
Like how much are EuroLeague games, for example? Like
I don't know. Do you know how much they cost, like single game
good
tickets?
question. I'm not too.
It can't be too expensive though.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the NBA side is more of like a show, kind of, with halftime performances and players, high level players and superstars being out there. It's more of a show, whereas in Europe it's more of like this is a war.
Yeah.
Like we got to win this game.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just Europeans though in general. That's just how Europeans are. They're passionate about something. They're really passionate.
Yeah, and I think part of it goes into they just know more about basketball. I remember this past season. So in our home games, after we win, we go up into the crowd and we kind of make a loop around the arena, and like you high five the fans and they do this little chant with the drums, whatever. And I remember because I was hurt for the beginning of the season, and it might have been the second or third game we win, and I had a good game, nothing crazy, maybe like 10, 12 points, but I did like all the little things really well, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm walking up and giving everyone high fives, and some of the fans can't speak a lick of English, so they're just like mumbling stuff I don't understand, and some other fans can speak like good English, and the one guy like grabs my shirt and he's like, the way you play defense, and on this one guy who was a righty dominant guy, the American dude, the way you play defense on him and force him left the entire game, the way you know how to cut. He's saying all these little things where it's like nobody in the fuck I would
gapping the screen.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy sounded like a coach, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, thanks, man, I appreciate it, but it's like it just shows you that he's probably not the only one in there that sees these the extra passes, the little things that count towards winning. I think European fans are much more like cognizant of. And value more, and then that in turn makes them want to watch these games and support, a good product.
Maybe they do appreciate more of that good basketball that we always talk about versus these like show, right? Like showy stuff and dunks and breaking ankles and all that stuff, right? So I think maybe they do have a bit of more of an appreciation for that, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. But I think that's definitely the case for him. So now for you, what's next? Obviously, you have this season coming up, and you're 100% focused in bouncing back from the situation you were in last year. Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself hanging in the EuroLeague for a long time? Is that kind of where your head's at? Is that kind of where all your energy is put towards?
Yeah, right now for sure. I wanna go back to Zalgiris and help this team win games. And this past year they lost in the Lithuanian League Championship, which is a big disappointment for the club, the fans of it too.
They lost to Riedus?
Yeah, Riedus, yeah. So just go in there, give my 100%. I signed a 2-year deal there, so
it's 2 year.
It's a 2-year deal, 2-year deal. So do what I need to do for these 2 years and focus and help this team win games and play well as well, and then after that, see what happens. Like I said, I do want to play in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So, as long as I do what I need to do and help this team win games and, and see what happens next. No pressure.
Take it step by step.
Step by step.
So yeah, that was gonna be my last question of like, do you have? I mean, a lot of things you can't really control, right? The only thing you can control is go out there and just play hard and play good and whatever. But do you have like a timeline, or do you have a goal in mind? Okay, in 2-3 years, this is where I see myself. In 4 years, this is where or is it more year by year? I'm just gonna try to kill it and then see what comes out of it.
Yeah, year by year for sure. Because like I said, I'm extremely happy to be going back to Zalgiris and them giving me this opportunity. So that's my main focus. I'm really not thinking about anything else or what happens next. Just kind of giving it my all.
All right. Okay.
Good stuff, man. Well, look, we appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it.
We'll be following you, and we wish you the best of luck in your next steps, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good stuff.